I will say this horse has never run against this level of horse. That was a very salty maiden 40 last time out. The Judge Alexander was in, and I think this is a significant drop for this horse.
Yeah, and you know, Imperio D, I mean, there's not a lot you can say about Imperio D at this point. But we saw Love Me Tomorrow win earlier this week. I'm a believer that these horses are going to find fields at some point this winter that they're going to get out of the maiden ranks. This could very well be the one. This horse...
What about Traveling Danny as a wise guy horse?
I mean, he's the wise guy horse.
There's some dirt. There's a little bit of dirt. It's probably more turf, but it's Mike Maselli again. And
Alpha's best races came on wet tracks. So.
This is, I mean, I don't need an Imperio D. This horse has had a million
chances.
I understand. I'm not saying he can't win. I'm not saying he can't win. You've got him fourth. It's not like you're endorsing him.
Right.
I'm not, you know, I'm
but
not.
But he's just, these
he's just
horses.
I think I want a fuzzy. You know, the fuzzy year is
clearly
Traveling Danny. And that's fine,
but these horses are going to find fields here this winter.
I understand.
This might be it.
But it doesn't mean you shouldn't look for fuzzies because you're saying they're going to find fields. This is not it. This is a 13-horse field in a sloppy track. When they find their fields, they're 5- and 6-horse fields in February, where their buyer figures are 15 to 20 points higher than everybody else. They find their fields. They're not finding their fields on a sloppy track in a 13-horse field in December. It's a very different story. This is not finding your field, Anthony. This is a much, much more competitive. You've got 3 legitimate, strong contenders in here, so nobody's finding their field. Finding their field,
but he's
the rest of them can't
races,
run.
But in his defense,
who?
Imperio D.
Imperio D may find his race in a 5- or 6-horse field in February where no one can run a fraction.
He's run consistently faster than Judge Alexander, and he has figures comparable with Posse, Condisco, and Moonshine Maker.
He acknowledged it was a dumb question.
Okay. Well, so, I mean...
He works in racing, whoever said that. I'm not going to say his name. I don't want to embarrass him.
I don't know. Do I know him?
Yeah, you know him well. He's a wonderful human being, as a matter of fact. Great guy. Race number 4 is the first stakes of today's card, the Remsen. And I have an opinion here. I'm a little skeptical of Known Agenda, but we'll get to him. Let's talk about the Nashua last time. Okay. Listen, pick and time, got the job done, got a very good trip. Maybe he takes another step forward off of that race. But if Jose Ortiz isn't in front when they hit that turn with 10 for 10, he should jump off. He should just fly back down to Florida and get ready for Gulfstream because this horse is as loose as can be. As loose as can be. He's the main speed, and in my opinion, he actually ran a better race last time than Pick and Time. And he did all the dirty work in here. Pick and Time just picked up the pieces. He actually fought him the wire. It's not like he just completely fell apart. He's supposed to go to the front. I like 10 for 10. I'm a little sorry he got a wet track because people are going to see that wet track and think he's a better wet track horse. He's not.
He'll be. You lost price on him today because of the wet track.
He's 2-to-1 morning line. Lose price on him. He's 2-to-1 morning line.
See, you and I and a couple other people. I saw this. I thought the board was going to be far different than the morning line. I think Known Agenda's. Do you really?
Yeah, I think it's going to be fair. I think he should be favored. Wow. I think he will be favored. I have no idea what all this love for Known Agenda, we'll get to him in a moment, is. 10 for 10 has now run 2 legit races, one in a maiden race, and last time out, those Nashua was terrific. Well, look at Known Agenda. Why was this so spectacular? Frankly, he probably should have lost to Greatest Honor. Another horse that Shug didn't run him back as a maiden because he's got 10 for 10 for the race with the same connections.
We talked about that after this race.
I think if he hadn't had for 10 for 10, Shug would have given a lot of thought, and he should have run Greatest Honor. I'm not saying he should have with 10 for 10 in there, but I'm saying if he didn't have that horse.
Yeah. And they're both Cortland, right? So.
Well, I mean, you act as though this was some sort of super fast race.
I don't. No, hold on a second.
What is so special about it? I mean, he may win,
hold on a second.
but I got a stat for Todd Pletcher. Hold on a second.
They beat the rest of the field by 21
the rest of the field was ridiculous. Give me a break. The rest of the field wasn't
not a good stat.
Well, wait a second. Not a good stat. That's the most
awful
flip answer.
Stat. It's an awful stat.
All of horses that broke their maiden last starts in dirt routes and graded stakes, Todd is 1 for 32. He's 0 for 13 with only 3 hitting the board with 2-year-olds, and there are plenty of short prices in this sample. I'm just pointing it out. These horses get bet, and they're not coming back and getting it done.
I'm not in love with Known Agenda. I'm telling you he's going to be the favorite.
Well, you picked him on top.
That doesn't mean I have to love him.
If David made him the favorite, he's probably right. He usually is.
It's Pletcher and Velasquez. And people bet those connections.
People bet Shug McGay, too, and Jose Ortiz.
They do. But people are going to see this horse has the win, going 9 furlongs around the 2 turns.
So what?
I don't.
You know, they've done studies on the one-turn, two-turn thing, and it's just irrelevant. You know, there have been studies done on it.
I'd like to see those studies.
They've been done. They're irrelevant.
I'd like to see them.
I know it's something you lay on, but it just doesn't work. It's voodoo. It's voodoo. I understand he did that, but why can't Tenford Dennis wire the field? He won a mile and 16th at Belmont.
He could. He could. He absolutely
You
could.
really like the 1 more than the 5?
Yeah.
Why?
I'm not a big believer this horse is going to want distance 10 for 10. I know you're going to look back to the mile and 16th race at Belmont, but I mean, he kind of just went to the top in there and beat a suspect field of maidens that day.
But he ran great a mile last time.
He did. He ran fine in a mile. I'm not his biggest fan today.
Okay, we disagree. Brooklyn Strong comes out of winning the Sleepy Hollow, and the funny thing about Brooklyn Strong, I mean, we haven't talked about him. And I know these are better horses, but he ran a big figure that day, and could he be just a horse that's getting better at the right time?
There's nothing wrong with Brooklyn Strong. Listen,
that race was fast last time.
I guess Erewhon would be.
He's a little tough to make.
A real shocker.
What's going on? You got a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah, it fell off. I don't know. It got disconnected. I guess Erewhon would be a little bit of an outlier in here, but the other 4 wouldn't surprise me. Even this horse. And again, you don't care, but he has a win going 2 turns when he broke his maiden first time out going a mile. I'll tell you what. Why can't I remember the results of these races from last year?
He's got to win in 2 turns.
I know 2 years ago.
It's so important. How about point of honor? How did she do in those 2-turn races? Oops.
I knew 2 years. I know one thing.
It's a nonsense.
2 years ago,
gibberish.
the Exactor and the Demoiselle came back $360. They were the only 2 horses that had 2-turn experience, and Tax got beat 2 lengths.
You must have crushed
He was
it. You must
3rd.
have
I did.
crushed it. You must
And
have.
he was the only horse that had 2-turn experience.
What are you doing with that money now? You still
and
invested?
He ran 3rd. See,
Did you buy some
there's always a
Microsoft
wise guy comment to it when
It's gibberish.
you tell me that you
Anthony,
tell me
it's gibberish. It's just gibberish.
Not
It's just
gibberish.
gibberish. It's distance.
Not
It's just
gibberish.
It's gibberish. The reality is, if there's anything to it,
You want
it's,
ones versus
it's
fives for lunch?
The answer. Oh, absolutely. I'll bet you 5 lunches on that, happily. But as many lunches as you want. Up to 5 lunches. You tell me.
We'll just do the standard 2.
Okay. We're at 48. I'm up 48 lunches. The reality is, all kidding aside for people at home, if you have a deep closer, you rate to be better in a 1-turn race because the paces will be faster. So it's going to help closers. If you have a speed horse, you're probably better. You might have a slight advantage in a 2-turn race because you rate to get away with a more moderate pace. That's the only thing that really matters. It's not as though there's a horse that's designed particularly that's the same kind of horse. It's really a function of race dynamics. That's all it is. Race number 5. Midway point of the card, closes out the early pick 4 and pick 5. What are we doing here?
It also starts the mandatory payout.
Ooh, mandatory payout. Thank you for that. That's right.
67 and change.
67,000 mandatory payout. Thank you, Anthony, for that. That's a mandatory payout. Starts in race number 5. Thank you. Because you know I think about the Empire, as I know you do. I mean, you play every day.
It's a mandatory payout.
You put like 200 into it every day, right? You love that.
It's not accurate, but
I know. I was teasing.
Been known to dabble.
People respect you, and they know that you're not putting it. You know, Summer Brew. He's starting to run out of chances, Anthony. He's the worst to beat, but I got to tell you.
This is it. This is my last.
No, I'm not. It's not like you loved him.
Divorce papers are ready. I'm ready to send them over to Jorge Abreu.
He's the worst to beat, but he keeps getting beat in races. I got a stat for you. La Urbana. I didn't put this stat up. Now, I don't know the Aston Barn if they've run any horses so far. Oh, no. Oh.
That's Banana Fana Foe.
Okay, we'll get back to that in a second. Why don't we now go to my top pick, Banana Fana Foe. This is a good stat. Chris Englehart. No, what happened? You can put it back up. Once you put it up, we were sort of talking about it.
Here it is.
Banana Fana Foe. 3 for 6, all 6 hitting the board. I know it's a small sample. Second start, turf to dirt, sprint with maidens at Naira. But there's a lot of intention. There's a lot of intention. And you look at this horse, it's not a turf family. So maybe this horse just got a race first time out, Bernardini Dam, and now got into the right surface. If you're looking at this race to me and you want to play against the 5, or you want to pick somebody against the 5, I want to go to a fuzzy because I want no part of the number 6 La Urbana. Not that she can't win, but I don't know if the Aspen Barn started any horses this week, but going into this week, since Saratoga, Belmont and Aqueduct, 3 months of racing, 1 for 39, with a 9-cent ROI, and the only winner was.
No,
very good horse.
I'm sure it's
the Grade 1, Jackie's Warrior.
Oh, Jackie's Warrior.
So
Could you
for what
imagine?
it's worth, this is a barn that horses are just not delivering. Now, to be fair, there's not a lot of good stock in this barn, but they're not winning. I just thought that was pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Overall, I don't really have much else in here. Do you?
No.
But,
I'm going to try Chili Chews a little bit one more time.
like the name?
Blinkers go on. No, I had a tip on this horse
good
first
name.
time out, and I don't know.
I hope you're not supposed to
Did a
speak to
little
that
running.
guy.
Blinkers go on, catches a wet track. We'll see if the wet track can help this horse a little bit.
Last race wasn't that bad.
No.
I mean, barely finished. What? He finished 2.5 lengths behind Summer Brew.
Yeah.
I don't love him, but I don't disagree with you. He's not impossible here. What about Nothing Impassable? Nothing's impassable. Nothing's passable. Yeah.
Nothing
Twisted
Impassable?
Jimmy.
I don't know.
Not clear. The rail was bad that day at Monmouth. Vague. Gets New York breds the first time. I thought he was like the fuzzy in here if you wanted a long shot.
Okay.
Should we take a break?
Break time.
Okay, we'll be right back. Talk about the late part of the card, the late pick 5, including the Grade 1 Cigar Mile.
No sport in the world brings the wins home like racing. It's one-of-a-kind, high-speed, high-stakes action, and Naira Bets takes you there. Place your bets and watch the races live from anywhere. With Naira Bets, make easy, secure deposits and promotions every day to earn reward points or cash. Download the Naira Bets app or visit nairabets.com.
Welcome back to Talking Horses. Anthony Stabile.
Hello.
Man,
My tie keeps lugging out today.
how'd you feel calling? Anthony's called a few races. Well, you're calling the whole card tomorrow?
Mm-hmm. Next couple of Sundays, actually.
Nice. How'd you feel? Did you do anything today, or
No, nothing today.
you
Johnny
getting a
I's
little more
taking Cigar
comfortable?
Mile. Yeah,
I mean, you
feel
hadn't
good.
called a race and.
I called a couple at Belmont, filled in for the
You
early
did?
double for Johnny I one
Oh
day.
yeah, that's right. That's right.
And, but yeah, nothing on a regular basis since we shut down in March. Feel good.
Good.
Yesterday was good.
Okay.
My man Jonathan Kinchin sent me a text after the horse in the second race was a Game of Thrones horse, Miss Dracarys. And Dracarys means fire in Valerian. So
I think we all know that. That's just ridiculous.
Jonathan was right on. Fires at first asking.
I'm starting to lose respect for Jonathan. I used to respect him, but now it's all falling apart. Race number 6, the Go for Wand. Nona Madeline. She's not the kind of horse I love picking. We'll take a look at her last time out when she ran third and then turned back the alarm. It was funny. They were like, she didn't take a ton of money. She dropped down to 9-5 in the very late stages. She didn't run badly. She didn't run great. I don't love her. It seems her form's tailed a little bit. I just think she may just be better than these horses, Anthony. I didn't want to pick against her.
She might be. She might be. I'm going to hear it here, boy. Yeah, because I'm going to make my case for Sharp Star is the one-turn, two-turn argument.
Well, one of the best races that Nona Madeline ever ran was around one turn.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And look, they're
why would you possibly use that here?
two. They're the two in here, right? It's really there's a gap to the third horse, isn't there?
Oh yeah, it's
Whoever
a
you
two,
think
on
it is.
paper it's a 2-horse race between Nona Madeline and Sharp Star. The difference between the two is that Nona Madeline has a resume of good races.
She's got class and
whereas
she's got the
Sharp Star,
resume.
who will look at her last race, I don't think anyone, including Todd Pletcher, thinks that Nona Madeline's going to win if Sharp Star runs this race. I don't think there's a single person on earth that could argue that Nona Madeline's going to beat this horse if she runs. The question becomes, where the heck did it come from?
The truth be told, I think maybe Performer and Mr. Buff would be the only two horses on the card that could beat her today if she runs this race, and they'd both have to show up. Look,
Well, I didn't pick either one of them in the Cigar Mile, so obviously I don't agree with that.
look, her one-turn races, she's had more success in the one-turn races.
Right, but she ran the same. Well, no, hang on a second.
She's had more success. I didn't say the races were faster. They allow her to settle, and she just makes her one run. Now, I don't know where that race came from last time. That race last time was, otherworldly.
The individual races were stakes races. I don't understand what you're talking about.
I understand that. But what I'm trying to say
But
to
I
you
think
is,
this is the problem.
well, no, I'm
So you're
saying I
making
said
up
success. I didn't say
success is again because of who you ran against, Anthony.
Yeah, but it's also when you're allowed to do what you want to do, and horses like her who want to settle
She ran better
and
at
make
two
one
turns than
run.
she ran at one turn until that last miracle.
She ran faster.
Well, faster is better.
That's not. I said more success. That's not necessarily.
I'm going to say is a better, faster, is
Okay,
better.
but
You want slower is better,
success.
good luck to you.
I'm talking about success.
Success is
about
relative to who
results.
you're racing against. Success, betting horses based on their success is a way to absolutely go broke.
Look, I'm trying to make a case for a horse that's going to be the clear-cut second choice. I understand
Right? No,
that.
I'm not. To me, it's a two-horse race. I'm going to use both of them.
Yeah.
My problem is Sharpstar's got one race, and that's
But
it.
Nona Madeline has nothing close to that one race. That's my problem.
Wait a second.
No, she has nothing close to it, Andy.
Well, she's got plenty of
nothing
mid-90s buyers. She's a few lengths off of it. The problem is that every other race that Sharpstar's ever run is much farther away from Nona Madeline's average race.
Don't disagree.
That's the problem. And they're going to be similar prices. Listen, I don't have a problem with Sharpstar. I thought about picking her myself. I agree. I'm not, as you know, I am not Nona Madeline's biggest fan. But you know what? Over time, these horses just win.
Now, I have a third, you have a no. What do we do with Stand for the Flag?
Well, she stinks.
I mean,
Well, why don't I use her? You know that Rob Atras has had he's 0 for 19 with horses that he got from Jason Service? 0 for...
And that is not.
And I'm going to tell you something about Stand for the Flag. You may or may not remember me beating you up 2 times ago when you liked her in there, and I said to you, she might win, but she's a bad horse. She's got one big number in the slop, and I know it was a sloppy track. Having said that, that was a terrible field. My God, she'd be trial and error in there. I mean, it's a phonied up race that she's just, what do I think? I think the way to play this race is to throw her out of the Super.
The only reason I worry is because of the wet track race.
I don't think
because her other races for her prior barn were not very good, yet she still ran that big number on the wet track.
I'll be shocked if she hits the board.
That was my concern with her.
I think she's the vig in here if somebody bets on her, if she becomes a clear-cut third choice because of that wet track race. I've never liked this horse. Never.
I know you haven't, but
I just don't. I think she's
her
slow.
best race by a pole is the wet track race.
Except it's not really a race that holds up that well. But maybe you're right. I know. You're right. Wet track. You'll see. Maybe you're right. Maybe she'll be a wet track freak. And she'll be beaten 5 lengths in here instead of 55 lengths. I've never liked her.
I know. And save that one day, I haven't really been her biggest fan, but.
Let's move on. Race number 7. Race number 7, off the turf in race number 7.
No surprise.
The race has changed, though, because the 16 Forgotten Hero came out, who's going to guarantee the pace. And now you've got Jump for Joy in here, who's probably, but also Sweet Kisses. I bet Sweet Kisses last time, that was one of the worst beats of the entire year, maybe the worst, actually. Prairie Fire, we'll look at her running second last time. I know she's coming back on short rest, but she's just supposed to beat these horses, Anthony. She's just better than them.
You know, we said this earlier about cover photo, and I know she does have a win a little bit more recently in the cover photo, but you're starting to worry that...
No, or she was much the best 2 back when she got stopped rallying in the stretch. If she hadn't got stopped, she would have won a stake 2 races back. The time before that, she lost a motivated Seller who came back and ran second a stake behind a very nice Bob Baffert horse. No, she's not meeting those horses. No, she should have 2 wins in her last 4. She's been unlucky, and she's beating just weaker horses. I mean, you realize how much worse this field is than the one she's been in?
Really, she's won. This is going to be her 12th start in just 8 months of racing.
But that's Linda, right?
Yeah.
When they get going good, she runs
look at her.
them.
She's earned almost $200,000. She's hit the board in 9 of the 11 starts before today.
And she didn't run that badly last time. Frankly, the winner just ran really well, Espresso
Winner
Shot.
showed up last time.
Yeah, I should have picked her. I regretted that. I'm a little upset there's less pace in here. I think there's an interesting horse, and you've got the horse 4th. I thought Mrs. S was a little bit interesting. You know, I like the cutback. She comes out of the Mrs. Danvers race. It's not like Invaluable ran badly here the other day when she lost to the boys. You know, I know they always liked her, and she obviously turned out to be a disaster. She was nowhere near as a Morning Glory as good as she was.
I can say she beat the worst maiden field in the history of maiden fields.
That's fair. That's fair. That's up there. Maiden specials.
Yeah. Maiden special by far.
I'm not. You know, I've never been a big fan, but you know what?
She's a little interested in cutting back. The one sprint was against Secondary Market on her debut, where she was 4 to 5 into Secondary Market.
Who am I supposed to love in this race? Sweet Kisses had her chance last time. She's got to deal with Jump for Joy. I mean, I suppose she's not impossible. I feel like Prairie Fire's probably going to win. I mean, I guess you could throw in Dovey Lovey. I'm surprised you're not more Dovey Lovey. She loves Aqueduct.
She does love Aqueduct.
You know, I mean, it's like that argument for the Maselli horse that won here the other day. That horse, Jimmy Ferraro's horses are running. You know, I don't think W Lovey's impossible if you think the race could get a little bit late, you know, could fall apart.
No jump for joy for you, huh?
Well, I didn't like her. I had her 5th, but I didn't like her with Forgotten Hero. Do I move her up a little bit? I guess. I don't know. I thought, how's she going to beat Prairie Fire? I mean, doesn't she have to deal with Sweet Kisses?
I mean,
isn't Sweet Kisses better than she is? Maybe not. Maybe it's close. No, it's fair. I don't know.
I don't know who's riding her, but it's Kendrick. No, it's not Kendrick Carmouche. 7th race. The 13 is Kendrick Carmouche. So we'll get a rider on her momentarily, hopefully. Can't she just sit off of her? I mean, she rated.
No, I'm not. Yeah. She's not impossible. I'm not. I think the 14's probably very, very much the horse to beat in here. I want to
Benji Hernandez.
I want to Fuzzy as my other horse.
Okay.
I hear you. I'm not. Obviously, she is tremendously helped by the scratch of Forgotten.
I mean, she's the one helped easily the most.
Well, Sweet Kisses is helped by it too.
Yeah, I guess.
She's a confirmed speed horse.
Yeah.
Race number 8. Take a look at Wasp. Was Wasp entered the Keeneland sale? I
don't know.
I thought I saw ads that this horse was entering the Keeneland sale. It obviously didn't sell, so either they didn't sell or they took out of the sale. By the way, you said that Mrs. S beat the worst maiden special field in racing? Could this one be?
The state-bred race.
Could this have been the state-bred version of that?
We're not allowed to disparage New York breds.
I love the New York breds, Anthony. You know, you're a New York bred, and I love you. So
thanks,
there you have it right there.
Too.
But this was some field this horse beat last time. Now, I'm not, it's not her fault, but.
It's not her fault. It's not your fault. Good Will Hunting. It's not your fault, son. No.
I like Good Will Hunting.
Great movie.
Well, they go to Wonderland.
They go to Wonderland, yeah. That's right.
How can you not? You ever seen the movie Next Stop Wonderland?
No.
Oh, with Hope Davis? Excellent movie.
Have you been to Wonderland?
You know, I haven't. I've never been to dogs up in. I've been to Suffolk quite a few times.
I was at Wonderland. Not for live. I'll tell you, I hit a triple at Meadowlands for $5,200. I hit it for $1. I got back $2,600. This was when they were getting ready to close down Wonderland. It was one of the only times in my life I did not feel comfortable on a racetrack.
My last trips to dog tracks were.
We took a cab back to the hotel instead. We took the blue line there. I had 3 dimes on me. We took a cab back to the hotel.
I went to dead shows with my friend Sean at some point in the 90s, and we couldn't rent a car. I forget why. So we're staying in D.C. We were going to the shows at RFK, but we went to Laurel. So we had to take a cab to and from D.C. Sean made a huge score. McKay McKenna won.
Wow.
And Araya that day.
RK Stable.
Was that? No.
RK Stable. Yeah. Richie Koch.
Yeah. She was a really good horse.
She was a good horse.
Anyway, we digress.
Yes.
Wasp can win this race. I don't know. Doesn't she have a look to you like she's just going to be 6-5 just because? Todd Pletcher, 10-length win.
Yeah, but was there really? I mean, forget about what
she
was there
good.
Anything? Yeah, but you see, you're quick to dismiss that. I don't know what she's done wrong. She got beat a neck.
There's no statement in racing that annoys me more than what has she done wrong. My question to you is, what has she done that's so right?
She's only run twice.
Okay, she's fine. Anthony, if she were 6-1 in here, I'd say, yeah, you should definitely bet her. If she were 4-1, better. But if she's going to be 7-5, I think she's done nothing right enough to be 7-5 in this field because, frankly, Bridgeton Lady's supposed to beat her off her last race. I think Bridgeton Lady should probably be close to favored in here. I think it's very close. Can Wasp win? Yeah, but I don't think she's such a bargain. Who's to say that she's going to run better when she's in a more competitive environment? A lot of times horses will run big figures on wet tracks when they're uncompetitive races just running along, and she didn't. Can she win? Of course she can win. Is she the horse to beat? Probably. She's lightly raced, like you say, but do you really think she's worth a super short price here?
Honestly, I do.
Really?
Yeah, I think she'll beat these horses pretty easily. I do.
Okay, what's pretty easily?
3 lengths.
Okay, 2.5 lengths over under 1 lunch.
I like it. I'll take it.
Oh, by the way, for what it's worth, thank you, David Aragona. She RNA'd for $385,000. Well, she was a $350,000 2-year-old purchase, so I think you have to put a relatively high thing. I would have taken the 380. I would have taken door number 2. Because if you're wrong and you end up with a can of squid.
Well, it's the old. So before we came on the air, we had the 2. We had some old school adages. The old school adage, something like that, is that's 2 fools. One who offered it and one who turned it down.
By the way, I saw the Honeymooners last week. I left it on. It was
Which
the one
one?
where he finds all the counterfeit money.
The greatest.
The greatest.
And there's plenty more where that came from.
Greatest
Sensational.
show. I took a shot with Pure Bodie, and this is normally not the kind of horse I like, but I think Pure Bodie is going to be a price. You know, it is better turf breeding on the dam side. I don't think Bodemeister is a good turf sire. It's first I have to Pure Sensation, and I know many remember Pure Sensation, rightfully so, as a very, very fine turf sprinter. He was an exceptionally good dirt horse, but Christophe realized that he wasn't going to be good enough to beat top sprinters in the dirt.
And his feet
he's better
too,
in
right?
the turf. Was it a feet thing? That sounds right. He was second at the 8th pole, chasing Byron all the way around the track in that Woody Stevens, which in my opinion was one of the single greatest performances I've ever seen.
Amazing. 2014 Woody Stevens was, and that was a good field.
And you know, maybe Mark Henning's running this horse because it's turf racing, but what's to say this horse can't be a dirt horse? I thought this horse was very interesting. I'm going to use, you know, a bunch of horses in here, but Pure Bodie. I'm mostly going to be 2 8s and 12s, maybe a little Amos.
Amos.
It's Amos. I don't care what you tell me.
It's Amos. It's
Race number 9.
It's Rickon and Amos.
Race number 9 is the Demoiselle. Take a look at Malathot. You know what's funny about Malathot in here? And she's the horse to beat. I think you and I both picked her second. She's probably helped by the scratch of Karamoka. Cafe Society. The fact that Shug is running Cafe Society back, I think is a really good sign. I think it says, I know she didn't run well last time, but she's a better horse than that. Maybe he's feeling like, you know what, ultimately she came back in 19 days. He had no choice. He could have waited for this race. Maybe he thought of the race, I wish I had just waited for the Remsen, because her pedigree really is to go long. Now, maybe she'll end up being a sprinter, as it turns out. But I bet she runs a lot better than Cafe Society.
You might be right. You could be right.
You know? I just...
The fact that he's running her back is a great sign.
That's not a Shug move,
Nope.
you know? He's not going to throw her the wolves. He must have confidence
Just
that
2
something went
starts, got to go
wrong.
9 furlongs, yeah.
Malathot's the worst to beat, I guess, and she's helped by the scratch near. She drew the inside. But you and I both like Napoleon here. Wheel foil.
And I don't like, I'm not a Napoleon fan.
There's absolutely nobody out there believes that.
It's the truth.
But nobody
Ask
believes
my
it.
mom. Would you believe Phyllis?
Well, Phyllis.
Phyllis loves Napoleons, and I don't touch her Napoleons.
And that's why she likes them.
Yeah. I never thought of it
I'm going
that
to tell
way.
you something. I think this is a very good horse.
Me too.
I'm not knocking Malathot because she's legit. I'm not. But I think this horse is pretty good, too.
I agree.
And I know you love the mod horses, but this horse... I thought about picking Malathot because I figured you'd pick Milfoil, but you know what? It's Milfoil, right?
Milfoil, yeah.
This horse, I know she had a perfect trip, but she galloped. She looks to me like a horse with a future.
Like the fact that Bill Mott ran her a mile both times. There's your stat.
Got good numbers
Nothing
off of
wrong with
maiden
that.
wins and dirt routes. I didn't even remember putting this up. Can we get a new picture of Bill? I think he's about 20 in that picture.
That was taken like 3 minutes after Cigar won.
His maiden race for Alex
No,
Hassler?
the Hollywood Gold Cup, I think, because that's at Saratoga, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, I like the fact that he waited to run her a mile when we got back down to Belmont Park. A couple of mile races, stretches out now. She's gaining ground at the end of both of her starts. Look, the other filly, Todd's filly, Malathot, she's been very good. She's legit. And she is helped greatly by Karamoka coming out of here, because she figures to have things a little more to herself on the front end.
Yeah, I think Shug's going to go. Cafe Society's got to be
She almost
aggressive.
has to go,
She's
right?
got to be aggressive
Yeah.
here. I mean, she was in front of her last, or up with her last time. Why would they rate today? This is a good race, and this is 2020 to me is going to be remembered as a year of the fillies. You know,
We've had some great
I mean,
fillies.
not only we have a terrific, fun, competitive filly division and Skydiver and those Gamine, the older horses, but the 2-year-old fillies this year. I mean, last week we saw that you know that Tony Dutrow horse that broke his maiden and beat Caroline Swirl? You know, she got a 93 buyer. Caroline Swirl got an 87. I set up the race, and I was on with Greg, and I said, people are going to be, or maybe I was on with Maggie, actually. I said, people are going to be disappointed. Obviously, you bet Caroline Swirl, and say, I said, I think she ran huge. I just think she couldn't beat Tony's horse. That race, you could tell. I mean, look at the time. That was a super fast race.
Wow.
This is the year of the 2-year-old fillies, and this is a nice running of the Demoiselle.
Yeah, looking forward to this.
The big one, the Cigar Mile, coming up as race number 10 to close out today's card. We'll take a look at Performer. He's going for his 6th straight winning Discovery. Listen, I don't think you'll find bigger fans of Performer, always sort of rooting for those Phipps horses. Somebody was talking about relaxing, speaking of Phipps horses, on a message board last night, who was in the midst of a big run at this time of the year when she was running. Did she run second or
Easy-
third?
Easy goer's mom.
Yeah, but she was a tremendous racehorse too. Angel Penna trained her.
She beat the boys, or she ran against the boys?
She won the Gallant Fox.
Gallant Fox. There you go.
Mile 5/8. 83-ish, somewhere in there, somewhere in that range.
There's tax.
You know, that's the discovery. He came back with his Facile win. He's missed a lot of time. He's very good. Do you really think his races say that he's supposed to be 7-5 in this race? I feel like he's a horse that's going to get a little bit over bet in here on reputation. And he's good, and you know I'm a fan, but I think he's going to be an underlay in here.
Now, with Firenze Fire in the race, no. With Firenze Fire out of the race, yes. I think this horse
I don't
should
like
be
Frenzy
ahead.
Fire at all. I don't care if it's on a dry track, a wet track, or anything. I just
Okay.
don't like him. I think that, that this is not the right spot today for him.
I don't
Not
know.
the best. I'm not in the wrong spot.
And here he is.
Here he is.
Yeah, here he is taking the Vosburg.
I want newer I want fresher faces in here. I want Performer and King Guillermo, who we'll get to. I think they're the ones that you want in this race.
Okay.
I don't know. He's legit. I don't want to knock him. I love this horse. How can you not love this horse? I don't want to hear that he's a Belmont horse because he runs well everywhere. He's been in the right situations more often than not at Belmont. I think it diminishes his talent to say he's a Belmont horse because I think he's just been a darn good horse wherever he's run.
I'm a big fan.
No,
one of my favorite horses.
love
He's one of my
this
favorite
horse.
horses. Has been around here the last 5 years, but he has shown now that these wet tracks are a little bit his kryptonite.
Well, I don't know, maybe.
Yeah, I just don't think he.
I don't,
he
the
prefers them.
Forgo was an odd situation.
They thought about scratching him. He was outside. They thought about scratching him.
Well, that was also running a driving rainstorm.
Yeah.
I mean, that was a different situation. The rain is going to stop supposedly by like noon or 1 o'clock, and this track's probably going to dry a bit. So I don't think you're going to see the same kind of situation. That Forgo. I mean, if I look back on 2020, if I would say we did one thing wrong, and people around here have done a lot of things right, people not named Anthony Stabile and Andy Serling, we should have waited 10 minutes to run that race, 15 minutes to run that race.
And
Would you agree?
agreed, yes. And remember, you have 45 horsemen.
That's not a
horsemen and
criticism.
women.
It's easy to do things wrong.
Of course.
Much easier to do things wrong in racing than do things right.
You have up to 45 minutes to scratch your horse out of a stakes race.
Right.
So this can be a game
They
time.
may
like
be
Andy
seeing
said.
what happens, the wind.
Maybe the rain
stops.
stops at noon and the wind picks up and dries this track out a little bit, and maybe they figure, well, it's the Cigar, let's give it a roll.
Yep. They're bringing him back next year.
That's great. I read that. Yeah,
The owner
Ron
loves
Lamont,
running him.
bring
I
him
love
back.
that. I totally
I'll
love it. I mean, I
forget- you
understand
know
there's
what?
not a lot of stud deals for Poseidon Warriors. So what?
I forgive Ron Lombardi for naming the horse It's Gravy, that he's bringing Firenze Fire back. We're cool now.
What's wrong with naming horses gravy?
Because he's talking about Sunday sauce, and he's saying it's gravy, sauce. But that's a story for another day.
Have a milfoy and keep quiet. Let's take a look at King Guillermo. Let me tell you something. You look at this race that he ran in the Tampa Bay Derby, and frankly, he ran in his next start in the Arkansas Derby. This is a horse that early in his 3-year-old year was running figures as fast, if not faster, than Performer's numbers. I'm going to tell you, this horse is good. He's going to be forwardly placed in here. I have a feeling that King Guillermo is a very, very good horse, and I'm going to take a shot with him.
When
today.
they ran into Nadal in the Arkansas Derby, they announced as soon as they finished second that this horse was going to be laid up and run into the September 5th Kentucky Derby off of that race. He had enough points, he was not going to run. So there was intent to run this horse for Big Break. They get 3 more months now, as he had a little bit of a hiccup in Kentucky Derby week. This horse is coming in, and he's facing a horse that has a race under his belt now in Performer, who A, might be better than him, B, is older than him, and C...
He's going to be 1/6 the price.
Yeah, well,
Well,
you're not
odds
too sure. You're not too sure if Firenze Fire comes out.
I like
your
King,
second choice.
I like King Guillermo in this spot. I think he's a very dangerous horse. I don't. Frenzy
Firenze
Fire is
is
scratched.
Okay.
I tell you what, Francisco is so on his game.
on top of it. So
Francisco, you finally woke up.
Firenze Fire comes out.
You know, he slept here last night in the truck.
I'm going to tell you what. I think
Getting ready for talking horses.
I think here's the thing. I think there's one horse that could beat Performer, and I think it's Mr. Buff.
Here, speaking of Mr. Buff, who is in fact named after Anthony Stabile, in case
No
anybody's
question
wondering,
about it.
I think it's time to finally give the truth.
Thank you,
He's
Mr.
100%
Mrs.
named
for naming
for
one
Anthony
after me finally.
Stabile. Here's Mr. Buff's last race. My problem with Mr. Buff is I think he's tailed off this year because even his win here wasn't spectacular. It was okay. But he does have one thing going for him. Best race he ever ran was a one-turn mile at Aqueduct.
Here
we have my tickets.
Our friend Ryan Martin up in the press office.
Ryan Martin Naira. He's changed his name
it's
officially to
official?
Ryan
So
Martin
Ryan
Naira.
Martin
Yeah.
Naira, who did a sensational piece on the
Don't be nice to
unconquerable,
Ryan.
invincible,
Don't be nice to
unbeatable
Ryan.
cigar. Go check it out at the Naira website.
I read it.
I did too. Sensational. Loved it.
It's on the website.
It's on the website.
Ryan did a good job. Ryan Martin Naira.
Ryan Martin Naira said, Mr. Buff, there's still a G in front of this race, right? That's been his kryptonite. He runs in these graded stakes races, and Mr. Buff just seems to not show up. Well, you know what? He gets the one-turn mile today. Junior Alvarado should just let him run from the rip.
Yep. I agree.
Just let them run from the rip.
I agree with that.
And whatever happens, let them take him on. And whatever happens, happens. I wouldn't try to rate him today.
I would go fast.
I would just go as fast as I can, as far as I can. If they get me, they get me.
I'm with you.
I think Mr. Buff is Performer's biggest, literally and figuratively, his biggest danger today.
No, he's on my ticket somewhere. Listen, some of my tickets are Snapper Sinclair and True Timber as well. I'd like to get that far in the pick 5, playing them.
Sure.
Because
Wow.
I think Snapper Sinclair is a little interesting if the race falls apart. And True Timber has races, and he's run well in the Cigar Mile. Second in pattern recognition.
Yeah.
Pattern. It was 2 years ago. Feels like about 2 decades
I was talking
ago.
to somebody about I think it was Bobby Newman on HR, and we were talking about how they assess the grades, the graded stakes committee. They look back at the last 3 years, right?
It's by also rans.
Okay.
But it's also, it's not just winners, it's also rans.
Right.
How deep the fields were. Mm-hmm. It's a fun race. Listen, in my heart, I want Performer to win. I love this horse.
Of course.
You know, I said something on Twitter the other day talking about it, and you know, there are farms. You know, it's Claiborne Farm and different farms that are around for a long, long time.
It's the last dynasty, right?
But the Phipps is they're the last. They're the last of the families.
Vanderbilt's gone. Mary Lou passed away.
Green Tree, you can
Green
find a
Tree,
lot of them. There are a whole lot. Yeah,
Rokeby.
Rokeby. I love those Rokeby
Christiana.
horses. I always liked all those horses. I always liked the Sterling.
everybody's gone.
Claiborne.
Claiborne.
They don't race
But
as
they're
much.
kind of hand in hand, right?
Yes, and they're very much involved with the Phippses. But
They're both. Then
I think
it's Claiborne and Phipps. This
yeah,
one.
and
They're
think,
on the ownership here.
I think one of the reasons a lot of people, especially like us, have been around the track a long time, like the Phipps horses, is they represent something that's, and this is no knock on how racing's changed, it's evolved, but you still just harken back to certain, you know, the days in racing.
You want to talk about the who's who? This is Phipps, Claiborne, and Peter Brandt owns a piece of this horse.
Oh, he does?
Shug told me that yesterday. We had Shug on HRN yesterday afternoon. Peter Brandt owns a piece of this horse.
He's got DeMarchelier
Well,
standing at Claiborne.
He does. We were talking about, you know, next year, and provided everything goes well today, and Shug told me that both Code of Honor and Performer are sticking around next year.
Well, you mean, why not?
Which is
They
great.
could both show up in the Pegasus.
Certainly what he was thinking about for Code of Honor, we didn't
wouldn't
go
you
that
think
far
about
with
it with
Performer. I couldn't agree with you more.
I mean, run
Couldn't
there
agree
and then
more.
wait, you know, wait until, you know, you get back, whether you go to Oaklawn or maybe if you point towards the, you know, the Met Mile.
I would imagine I would imagine he'll make the decision with Performer. Maybe you want to take the Carter and the Met Mile with Performer.
Well, sure, but that doesn't mean you can't run in the,
No, I guess
in the
not.
race formerly known as the Don.
Right, his fastest
It's been a
race came in
pleasure.
9 furlongs.
We need to get going.
Yes, we do. Johnny I's waiting.
Johnny I is going. I think they've already run 4 or 5 races, right? I think we're on the 5th or something by now.
No, there's 30 minutes to post for the first. It says.
We will match with a $200 your initial deposit. Use promo code MATCH200. Become a member of NyraBet. Support racing in New York. Want to remind people, $20. We'll give you $20 if you bet 25 or more through the app, and the app only on NyraBets, and your horse wins in the Cigar Mile. Also, Toys for Tots. Check that out on the website. Mandatory payout in the Empire 6, starting in race 5, 67,000 change in the carryover. Johnny I, the man, the voice of New York racing, up now with a reprise, or actually the first time, I think.
First time.
First time. Scratches and changes.
Hello, racing fans, and once again, welcome to Aqueduct. It's a cloudy and rainy Saturday here at the Big A. The main track is sloppy and sealed, and we're off the turf today. We had only one turf race scheduled. That was race 7, and that has been moved to the main track at the same 6 furlong distance. Empire 6 jackpot carryover is $67,328, and we have a mandatory payout today. Here now the changes for the 10 race card. In the first race, scratch number 3, Magnificent Chrome. Scratch number 3. In the second race, scratch 1, Movie Score, and 8, Loon Lake. In the second, scratch numbers 1 and 8. In the third race, scratch the 7, Ladies Boy. Scratch number 7,